I think we are ready to go. So we'll start some bhajans now. Alec, I'm gonna make you whenever you have time, I'm gonna make you co-host, and you can share the screen. I'll be using the book today. We will sing. I think Vibhavati Shesha is a very nice song, so we'll sing that. Vibhavati. This song is called Vibhavati Shesha. It is a song by Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur, and it is from the book name is Kalyana Kalpa Taru. So we'll sing that today. So we have Naeem here as well. So in the temple room, we're just going to read the translation of this beautiful song. You got it page 60. Oh, you're in a different book. We have the song book out right now, but you can share with me either. There should be some more down there. So verse 1. The night has come to an end, 68. The night has come to an end, and the light of dawn is entering. O Jiva, soul, arise and give up your sleep. Chant the holy names of Lord Hari, who is the giver of liberation, the enemy of the Mura demon, the supreme enjoyer, the all-attractive one, and the horse-headed incarnation, Hayagriva. So Naeem Prabhu will say the next one. Number 2.
Lord Hare Krishna incarnated as the half-man, half-lion Nrsimha. He appeared as a dwarf Brahmana named Upendra and is the killer of the Madhu demon. He is the beloved son of the king Vraja, Nanda Maharaj, and is blackish in complexion. He is the slayer of the Putana witch and the destroyer of the demon Ketava. All glories to Lord Hari, who appeared as Lord Rama, the son of King Dasarata.
Alec Prabhu, would you like to read the next one?
Sure, Prabhu. He is the darling of Mother Yashoda, the giver of pleasure to the cows, land, and spiritual senses, and the protector of the cows. He is the lord of the Vrindavan forest, the gopis' beloved, the lover of Radhika, and the most beautiful personality in all the worlds.
As Ramachandra, he put an end to the demoniac king Ravan. As Krishna in his childhood, he stole butter from the elder gopis. And in his youth, he stole the clothes of the younger gopis while they danced in the Yamuna. He is a cowherd boy of Braja and the protector of the cowherd boys. He steals the hearts of all and always holds a flute. Number 5.
Number 5. Lord Krishna is worshipped by the best of yogis. He is the son of Nanda. He removes all the fears of the inhabitants of Vraja. He is the color of a fresh rain cloud, and his form is enchanting. When he wanders about playing his flute, he looks very charming.
Number 6.
He is the son of Yashoda and the killer of King Kamsa, and he sports in the rasa dance among the gopis of Vraja. Krishna engages in this rasa dance underneath the Kadamba trees, and he resides in the forest of Vrindavan.
He increases the ecstasy of his devotees. He is the reservoir of all love and is transcendental. He uses his flowered fires to increase the loving desires of the gopis. He is the pleasure of the gopis, Lord of all wonderful qualities.
Number 8. Lord Krishna is the life of the river Yamuna. He is always absorbed in amorous pastimes, and he is the moon for the chakora birds of the gopis' minds. O mine, obey these words of mine. O mine, obey these words of mine, and sing the glories of Sri Krishna in the form of these holy names, which are full of nectarian mellows. Hare Krishna. Does anybody have any thoughts, reflections on the sanguine points made in this song by Bhaktivedanta Thakur? Do you have any thoughts, Naeem? The world wants to know.
Quite straightforward.
Quite straightforward, huh? I don't know if they put it in the online version, but in the last verse, it says Manasa Chandra Chakora, and it says in the star that the Chakora bird subsists only upon moonlight. That's its only, I guess. See, Chakora birds that subsist only upon moonlight. It's there online as well. So I was just reading Krishna book, and in Krishna book it was saying that in the whole pastime of Kaliya, and the snake he danced upon the heads, the hood of Kaliya, And it was mentioning in Krishna book that Yashoda went to go save Krishna, wanted to go and save Krishna from the water, but the gopis restrained her, and thus she fainted. Because of being restrained. So, and all the gopis and all the residents of Vrindavan, they were absolutely, the torrents of rains were pouring from their eyes. The whole thing lasted 2 hours before Krishna. If you look at Krishna book, the whole thing lasted, the whole Kaliya Leela, before Krishna started dancing on the heads, it had lasted 2 hours. So, but everybody was just in anguish and in misery, and they're put in so much pain because Krishna is their only source of happiness, their only source of livelihood, their only their pran dhan, the Lord of their heart, very important. And the only person who was pacified, the only person who was okay with this, the only person who was happy was the birthday boy, and it was Balaram. So I was thinking of that, that when we sang Manasa Chandra Chakora, I was thinking like that. Does anybody, because Balaram was knew Krishna's position, he knew that Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He can do whatever he pleases, but so he was not affected in any way. But yeah, so I thought it was very interesting in that. Does anybody have any other thoughts on this song?
I love how in the first stanza itself, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, yes,
Yes.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving us the instruction: wake up, give up your sleep, and also the meaning of Vibha Varishesha. This is the first line, which is the night has. No, what is the meaning of it? The exact meaning. Do you know, Hari Prabhu? Is it
Yes, Vibhavari is the night.
the night?
Sesha means has come to an end. That's what the word's saying. So
So
the night has come to an end.
yeah, so very inspiring, right? It's giving us the hope that, and how is it gonna be better that the light has come by chanting the holy name, the very next line.
Can't the holy
And also another point is that how in the beginning it's like, okay, Krishna is coming and killing this demon, that demon, and then later giving the pleasure. It goes on how he first kills all the anarthas, and then slowly and steadily he will give pleasure once this first verse is implemented.
It seems to be pretty systematic, doesn't it?
Yeah.
One more thought. I just joined a little late. I didn't hear the entire translation, but of all the pastimes, my favorite pastime is Krishna dancing in Kaliya, because he didn't kill the demon. If most of the demons he killed, the only person who left is Kaliya. So he killed the propensity, which is all senses, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, can be used in Krishna service except matsarya, which is envy. Lust can be used in Krishna service. Pride and all those things can be used in Krishna service. Only service, only propensity to sin is as envy. Because of that, we are here. And there is no antidote for that, only love. So holy name, like Krishna dancing on the tongue. So the propensity of sinning, all other things, which is a byproduct of that enmity, will go off eventually. So he didn't kill, but he killed that propensity. So holy name. So the pastime is very, very dear to me.
Very nice, Prabhu. Thank you. Does anybody else have any other thoughts? Yeah, now we're all thinking about Kaliya. Kaliya Krishna. And I was reading in Krishna book also that the demons that's mentioned in Krishna book, these are just, Prabhupada says, these are just the prominent demons. There are many other demons. The ones in Krishna book are the ones that are the prominent ones. So we have to learn from them. But they're probably, I think, if these are the prominent ones, there are probably many more demons that we may not know of, that are not mentioned. Yeah, so we will, any other thoughts, Naeem?
I like nectarian mellows. That's a nice term.
Nectarian mellows, huh?
Yeah, for the holy name.
Yeah, there's a lot of nice words and analogies used now. Nectar, mellows, and we get all these things, and listen to this. He's a reservoir of all love, and it's transcendental Cupid who shoots his flower arrows to increase the loving desires of the gopis. So in the material world, we have no concept of shooting flower arrows, but on Bhaktivinoda Thakur, it is by the grace of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, it's perceptible, so we can perceive that because this is kind of his transcendental realization, and so we can pause our study of the songs of the Vaishnava Acharyas for this week. We'll continue our study of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and this week we have very special speaker. Would you say? We have His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So we had we should hear Srila Prabhupada very often because because he brought Krishna, he's Paschatya Desatarani, he brought this knowledge to the West, and he holds a very special position in ISKCON as being the preeminent Siksha Guru for every member of ISKCON. So he is our spiritual master nonetheless. So it's very important to hear him every day by his books, by his conversations, and and especially, one of the things is his lectures. To hear. I know many devotees, even some of our spiritual masters, always carry this little golden box. You can get it from Prem Sindhu Prabhu. This golden box has, there's Alec Prabhu is holding up the golden box. It may be plastic, but it's worth its weight in gold, so this golden box has all of Srila Prabhupada's lectures remastered, digitally edited, and you can hear Srila Prabhupada all day. And I know, the complete audio archives, so you can hear Prabhupada, what his realizations are, his thoughts, he's, it's very, very important. Maybe, we all know Srila Prabhupada, so maybe Naveen Krishna Prabhu, maybe you can tell a little bit about hearing Srila Prabhupada and why it's so important.
I mean, you're all much better than me, but for my own purification, I'll just say, since Hari Prabhu asked me, so hearing Prabhupada is very, very important, because he comes in the line of Gopi Padakamala Yoru Dasa 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 Anudas, which is, he's a resident of Vrindavan. Nobody cannot get to Krishna without the mercy of Radharani. Nobody cannot get the mercy of Radharani without the residents of Vrindavan, which is the Gopis and Gopas, all in that disciplic succession. Prabhupada is coming, and he's a resident there. And this actually is a Gupta Gnan. It's up to Lakshmi Narayan, Sita Ram, Vishnu, Lakshmi, is where it is accessible to most other people. So till Madhavendra Puri came, before that, this Madhurya Bhav was not known to the world. This Vrindavan, 10,000 temples are there, all the pastimes of Gupta is covered with the internal potency. That is the very, very secret. This is also says, Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam. So perfect, so profound. It's so available, but it's too far away. It is there so close, but it's too far away. It is there in front of us, but we cannot get it. It is there in everything, but it's a big a lock. The key is with us, but we cannot open. So one time Bhakti Charu Maharaj came to Columbus many years back, and he gave this particular, this is one of the beautiful lectures I ever heard. Why we got what we got? Because of Prabhupada. So why he was he was given that he's sharing with others in the mood of Nityananda Mahaprabhu. One side, coin has two sides. One is Nityananda Mahaprabhu, the Guru Tattva, Prema Tattva, which is Radharani. Coin has two sides. Combination of that what Prabhupada was giving to us. We have no, at least I can say that I have no qualification. Sitting and reading Bhagavatam, attending deities, like just saying whatever is in path of devotion service. That is a ninth wonder. I have no qualification. Neither I can get any qualification. Period. So high knowledge, but he is the one actually giving, because he's tasting. We're going to talk about this in Bhagavatam 1.7.12. Prabhupada is going to talk about that, because Sukadeva Goswami also, he himself is Parama Bhagavat, but he's tasting and giving to others, through which he's giving to others not for a taste, to give the taste to Radha and Krishna. That is the only mode. That's one of the reason, to make it very short, Prabhupada hearing, we have to hear every day, not often. Every day at least a few minutes from Prabhupada reading books. Reading books is also hearing. Hearing is also hearing. Remembering is also hearing. But all the purpose of all is to remember. So, but it starts with the hearing. So that's one of the reasons we should hear. Because if you see any prominent Prabhupada disciples, they use the verbatim. You can understand. They're not adding it. They're not subtracting. Some of the lectures I hear from other spiritual masters, they use the verbatim. I know Chandramouli Maharaj also told me many times, even when you go to bathroom, you put a Prabhupada tape there and they'll be listening. When he's walking, when he's listening. So what happens is sometimes he hear, it goes away. Unless it goes into the heart, there is no transformation. We can put dhoti and tilak and all those things, but what we hear, if it doesn't go through heart, there is no transformation. That's one of the reasons we have to hear Srila Prabhupada. I'm so happy when somebody, that's what we do. When we dress, we hear. In the past, we always say Prabhupada, because he said the parameter. The rest of the people, that's where somebody asked the question last Saturday, how do you know Guru is, we blindly follow? No, based on Shastra. It's not a Guru we follow. We follow Shastra, but whoever follows the Shastra with Guru, we follow Guru. Is why Shastram Sakshat Bhagavat Pranitam. Krishna gave the Shastra. So that's one of the reason this Prabhupada is you also said one statement. We all know Prabhupada. I don't know Prabhupada. And of course, you're saying that the colloquial way of saying that one who know Prabhupada, that's different paradigm. We're trying to know him. But long story short, Prabhu, that's one of his my humble requests. I'll also get one from Alak Prabhu, if you can get me that. I have the old one, but if I can get the latest one, I would like to hear. Because one time I read most of the Prabhupada lectures, heard it. In those days, we had the MP3s. I bought MP3s, so most of them I heard it. But I want to hear when an opportunity comes. So wonderful. Your intellect will become strong. If you hear Prabhupada, your intellect will become strong. You will be receiving the mercy of previous acharyas, because he used the 6 acharyas. One last sentence. Use the 6 acharyas as purpose. You know who are all of them, right? Ramanujacharya. He uses Sridhar Swami. He uses Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He uses Bhaktivedanta Thakur combination. And he uses one more, Baladev Vidyabhushan. You don't have to go anywhere. He uses Jiva Goswami also, actually 7. Studied all of them, he gave, Sukadeva Maharaj gave the Samambonam, Kalpatarur, he gave that. So I highly recommend that here every day. Sorry, I don't want to hear Bhagavatam class. You're on mute, Haribol.
It was really nice. Thank you so much. Yeah, I was just talking about, we may know the biography by heart, but we only know a drop of the amount of what Srila Prabhupada has given us. So without further ado, we will hear this lecture by Srila Prabhupada. So how it's going to go, so he has covered, by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, he has given lectures on 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. It was in Vrindavan. So we're hearing, and it's not just regular noise. This is transcendental sound vibration, because first of all, it's coming from the pure devotee of Krishna, and second, we're hearing the sound of Vrindavan. So we're actually hearing Vrindavan. So So what we'll do is that each lecture is about 20 minutes. That was amazing thing about Srila Prabhupada, that he could, truth spoken concisely is true eloquence. So Prabhupada's lectures were 20 minutes, 24 minutes. All of these lectures were Bhagavatam classes in the ISKCON Vrindavan temple, and they were each 20 minutes, So we'll hear one, and then we will shift, and we'll have some discussion. And if we have time, we'll hear another. So if that is agreeable, you can put a thumbs up on your Zoom, if that's okay with everybody. Or you can just do a thumbs up like this. Is that okay with you? Naeem's giving me a thumbs up. That's all I need. Thank you so much. So, Alec Prabhu, you can start it, and we will hear attentively.
Now I shall begin the transcendental narration of the Lord Sri Krishna and the topics of the birth, activities, and deliverance of King Parikshit, the sage amongst kings, as well as topics of the renunciation of the worldly order by the sons of Pandita.
The flies are disturbing. How we are? परीक्षित अथ राजर्षि जन्म कर्म विलापन संस्या च पांडुपुत्राणाम बक्षी कृष्णो कथोदयम. This Srimad Bhagavatam is another Purana history. We have already explained. So sometimes a class of devotees known as Sahaja, they say that what we have got to do with the narration of Kurukshetra battle. They immediately jump to the Krishna Leela directly with the gopis. And Krishna's activities in other fields, they think it is useless. But that is not the fact. Anywhere Krishna is acting, that is transcendental. The battlefield of Kurukshetra, historical references, description. So superficially it appears that what a devotee has got to do with this battlefield. But battlefield or no battlefield, wherever there is Krishna, that is transcendental. This has to be understood. Otherwise, Sukadeva Goswami, why he should indulge in describing how Uttara's pregnancy was saved by Krishna, how the Brahmastra was thrown by Ashwatthama. So, Sukadeva Goswami is liberated person. Why he should indulge in these material things? Now, those who are advanced, they know that Krishna's dancing with the gopis, that Leela, and Krishna's playing as the leader of the battlefield of Kurukshetra is the same. It is all transcendental. One should not make any distinction between the two. Sangasad Pandaputrana Bhakshe Krishna Kathodayam. Pandaputrana, the Pandaputras or the Pandavas, son of Pandu, they are all devotees, even their political affairs, because there is connection with Krishna. It is Krishna Katha. Those who are with poor fund of knowledge, directly taking shelter of Krishna, or to take shelter of a pure devotee who is under the shelter of Krishna. Madas. So, if one takes shelter of a pure devotee, this is electricity. The powerhouse is far away, but the power is coming. Suppose your body is electrified, and if I touch, then my body immediately becomes electrified. And if somebody touches me, then others' body. This is electric. Similarly, one who is pure devotee is authorized by Krishna. He is electrified. So if one takes shelter of a pure devotee, then he becomes purified. Jad upasraya sraya suddhanti. That is the statement given by Sukadeva Goswami. How the Chandalas can become purified. The example I have already stated. Then at the end, Sukadeva Goswami says, Prabha Vishnavi Namo. This is the supreme transcendental power of Vishnu. He can do. Sometimes they say that unless the body is changed, how a Chandala can become purified? Yes, body is changing. Because we do not know how the body is changing. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Tatha dehantara prapti. Dehantara prapti. Dehi rasmin jatha dehi kaumara jauvanam jara. Tatha. Like that. Tatha means like that. Dehantara prapti. These are dehantara. Dehi rasmin jatha dehi kaumara. Kaumara jauvanam jara. This is dehantara. Every moment we are changing our body. This is dehantara. Krishna said, the greatest authority. This is the, how you can say that there is no dehantara? Yes, dehantara. Suppose in my childhood I am born in a Chandala family. But if by initiation, by taking shelter of a pure devotee, I become initiated, so dehantara is there going on. So if I take initiation seriously, so in the next dehantara, suppose yesterday I was a Chandal. Now, by this time, there is dehantara. And if I am purified by initiation, so this argument, dehantara, is already there. Scientifically, in modern understanding, and on the authority of Krishna's statement, dehantara is going on. Not that somebody was European or we take Europeans as mlechas, javanas. Yes, he was yesterday mlechas, javanas. But he has changed his body, and after changing, if he is initiated, then Dehantara Shuddhanti is purified. Shuddhanti. So how this is possible if we cannot understand? Because Lord Vishnu's energy is inconceivable. Inconceivable. Achinta. Srila Jiva Goswami has discussed. Unless you accept Achinta Shakti of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you cannot understand. You have to accept. It is Achinta, inconceivable by us, but it is not inconceivable by the advanced devotees or anything being executed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is not inconceivable by him. Svabhavika jnana bala kriyasa. He is so perfect in knowledge that what we are thinking inconceivable, that is very, very easily done with full knowledge by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So what is inconceivable by us, it is not inconceivable by him. Therefore, we have to learn it from tadvidhi panipatena pariprasnena sevaya upadekshanti tadjnanam jnanina tattadarshina. We cannot understand directly, it is not possible. So we have to approach tattadarshi. Just like Sukadeva Goswami, tattadarshi. He says, Shuddhanti, yes, he is purified. Although he is born of Pirata, Hunanda, Purinda, Chandala. Chandala is Dijasreshta, Hari Bhakti Parayana. So, it is inconceivable by us how a Chandala can be Dijasreshta, more than a Brahmin. It is inconceivable by me. But when we get a statement of the authorities, like Sukadeva Goswami, and about that Krishna, because the conclusion of Krishna and the conclusion of pure devotee, like Sukadeva Goswami, they are the same. Just see here, Krishna says, Bhang hi partha vyapasitya jepishu papajona te vijanti parangati. Unless one is purified, how he can go to Parangati? And Sukadeva Goswami also says the same thing. Kirata Hunanda, Papajoni, they are Papajoni. Shuddhanti, Prabha Vishnavi Nama. Simply, we have to go through the process. Otherwise, everything is possible. That is, the omnipotency of Krishna. We use this word, omnipotency, but we do not know actually what is that omnipotency. Omnipotency means he has got diverse energies. That is omnipotency. And we do not know by which energy he is acting in a particular case. But this is a fact that his energy is working. And he says also in the Bhagavad Gita, directly, Maya dhaksena prakriti sudate sacharacharam. Maya dhaksena, under my supervision, prakriti is acting. How prakriti is directed, how Krishna is directing prakriti to make a nice flower. It's like here, that painting flower on the wall, it takes so much time, so much arrangement, still it is not as good as a natural power. Here you have painted one rose flower and here are roses. There is art also and here is art also. Without art, without artistic sense, how these nice things, beautiful thing can come in? You find a beautiful flower blown in a plant, you appreciate it. And don't think, as the rascal says, by nature it has come automatically. No. The same energy as you are taking, you are applying your energy to paint a flower on the wall with your pens and brushes. But Krishna is also doing that. But his energy is so inconceivable that we cannot see how he is working. But he is working. Otherwise, why Krishna says, Maya Dhapsena Prakriti? Prakriti is working under my direction. Is it a bluff? No. Actually, Prakriti is acting under his direction. It is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. Sisti sthiti pralaya sadhana sakti rika chaiva jasya bhuvanani vibhatti durga ichhanurupam api jasya chestati sa prakriti ichhanurupam api jasya. That prakriti durga is acting under the direction of Govinda. Ichhanurupam api jasya chestati sa Govindamadi Purusam Tavam. The direction is there. Direction is there actually. But because we cannot conceive how in this plant the direction of the Supreme Lord is there, so that a nice flower is coming with so beautiful feature. But direction is there, we should know. Ordinarily we say sometimes that not a blade of grass moves without the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, everything is going on under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Don't think that it is taking automatic. There is no such thing as automatic. But the direction is so quick, so sufficient, and so perfect. Parasa Shakti, Vividaiva Sriyate, Savabhiki Jnana Balokya. Automatically, immediate. There are so many machines we have, just like the computer. There is machine working, but it is so minute that simply by pushing one button, so many things immediately done. This is a material machine manufactured by a human being. And how much perfect the machine of Krishna will be, just imagine. So this material nature is nothing but machine. It is not God. Those who are with poor fund of knowledge, they are taking directly this material nature as working. No. Material nature has no power to act. It is dull. In the same example, the computer, it is a very nice machine, but it cannot work automatically unless an expert pushes the button. So, material nature cannot do anything. It is Krishna's direction. So everywhere there is Krishna's direction. One who has got the eyes to see, for him, Krishna Katubodayam. Whatever he sees, he remembers Krishna. Avar jangam zakhe nadake tar murti, sarvatra spuraye tar ishtadeva murti. One has to become advanced devotee to understand how Krishna's direction is going on. They can understand. Don't think that things are taking place automatically. Therefore, even in reverse condition, a devotee does not see that this thing is happening without direction of Krishna. Even if he is in an adverse condition, he does not feel any pain because he knows that this adverse condition is also under the direction of Krishna. So, I am fully surrendered to Krishna. Why I shall take this adverse condition as not mercy of Krishna? It is also mercy of Krishna. Tatte nukampa susamiksamana punyana evatma kritam vipakam. A devotee is not disturbed by adverse condition. He takes that this is a gift of Krishna. Tatte anukampa. It is Krishna's mercy. Although I am put into difficulty, it is Krishna's mercy. So anyone who takes in that way, mukti padesa dayabha, he is going back to home, back to Godhead, is guaranteed. Because he takes everything as Krishna's mercy. Just like Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was so much chastised by his father. You know how he was put into difficulty in so many. But he was taking, this is Krishna's mercy. He did not take otherwise. So, in this way, everywhere there is Krishna's hand. So what to speak of this battlefield or any other thing? So we should not take otherwise that this is the best part and this is the lowest part. No. Wherever there is Krishna, direct. Krishna is everywhere, but we cannot see. But at least in Mahabharata, in Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna is dealing with the Pandavas. The Krishna's hand is there. That is Krishna's Leela. It is not like that. One who is advanced, one who is actually in knowledge, they will take Krishna Kathoda. Wherever Krishna's Katha is there, it is as good as any other. That is Leela.
Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So now we'll take a couple minutes and we can have some discussions, some thoughts, any reflections you had on hearing Srila Prabhupada. It was an excellent lecture, as always. Does anybody have any thoughts or anything like that? Or a reflection? There's a difference between a thought and a reflection. A reflection is kind of like, it doesn't require a response. It's just something you heard that you can put in your pocket and you can take it home with you. So anything you heard that stuck with you that you will take home, or you can ask a question as well. Naveen Krishna Prabhu is there to answer. So does anybody have any thoughts or questions? Sumitra Mansi, yes. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I'm not sure whose idea it was to play Prabhupada's lecture, but it was amazing. It's really nice. This is, I think, the first time I'm listening in a year directly from Prabhupada's lecture. I'm a visual person. I like to read, but this format is wonderful because you actually get to hear his voice and it snaps your mind in focus, the gravity of his voice. So this was an amazing experience. In terms of realizations, I think this purport offers a lot of depth than the purport for Tattenu Kampam Susamikshman. That verse, even that verse, it's almost hard to reconcile. Well, when I'm suffering, how do I accept this as Krishna's mercy? But here he weaves in the analogy of how a computer is operated with the machine, with a button. And if you think of it that way, Prakriti is under the control of Krishna, then you would not think of adverse circumstances as something independent of Krishna. So I think the way he weaves it is just amazing. So I feel like I'm able to better accept Tattenu Kampam verse from this purport, using that analogy he gave about the machine. And also now the weather is good. We are going a lot outside, and when we see in metro parks or state parks the beauty of nature, it's really, and he talks about that too. When we see anything beautiful in nature, that we have to recognize that there is Krishna's hand in that. And I think that word that he says, whatever one sees, he needs to remember Krishna. I think that's the line that will that spoke a lot to me. Yeah, thank you. That's all I have.
Hare Krishna. Mother Sumitra, could you explain to me the point about the computer and your point about the connection between Tattenu Kampam Susamikshimano?
Sure. So in Tattenu Kampam Susamikshimana, it basically says, even when you are in adversity, you think of it as Krishna's mercy. And when you look at that verse in isolation, it makes you think, well, why is Krishna putting me through this? Or how do I accept it, such a painful circumstance right now? But when you look at it through the analogy of even to operate a computer, there is an initial action that's necessary to get that thing in motion, to get that task in motion. And just like that, everything that happens in this world materially, in your own life, everything, there's Krishna's hand in that. I think if you remember that, then you'd say, yes, the times are hard, but I'm not sure what Krishna's purpose is for me to go through this right now. But regardless, this is Krishna's mercy. I'm going to accept it. I'm just going to follow the process. And 3 years down the line, in hindsight, it'll all make sense why that happened and what you learned from it. But at the time when you're going through it, remembering that there is Krishna's hand here. I don't have the intelligence to understand it. It's inconceivable to me, but nothing happens without the agency of Krishna. Just like a computer doesn't operate on its own. So yeah. I also had one more point to make.
Yes.
When he talks about material energy, everything is so perfect that we don't even recognize that there is a hand behind it. And a good example of that is the human body. Like for any simple action, just eating, digestion, walking, production of blood, like this so complex, intricate process with so many feedbacks. If this happens, then the other feedback says, okay, I have enough hormones, I don't need any more. Or when something breaks down, all those pathways that get recruited to compensate. The average person may not understand all that, but still the body works efficiently. Even if you may not understand what are the 1,000 processes that happens when the food goes from your mouth to the stomach, how much digestion already happens. But we don't need to know that. We don't need to know that. It still happens. So that's how beautiful this material nature is. And I think once we begin to understand all that, you can't help but wonder the vastness of Krishna's potency, omnipotency.
Thank you so much for clarifying that. Does anybody have any other reflections or thoughts or realizations? Alec Prabhu?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So, just want to share, Sumitra Mataji, that you asked that who had this idea. So Hari had this idea. So thanks to.
It was actually there was a last minute cancellation, and we were going around making the trails, begging, oh Prabhu, you give class, please give class, and nobody wanted to give class. And then Preetham's like, why are you begging? You have the best. And then he looked up, and then Srila Prabhupada has spoken about this, and then we're like, yeah, we've never done this before. How's it going to work? And I think it's working out great so far. So that's it's all due to Preetham giving me some sumedasa.
Yeah, Prabhupada is always there for us.
Tattenu Kampam.
Tattenu Kampam. Yeah.
For everything, there is a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a very good point that Sumitra Mataji you brought up, that how we can connect all our ordinary activities and see how they are all there is someone initiating that. So even in this material world, as Prabhupada is saying, that one should see that everywhere there is Krishna's hand. So I was thinking that here, Prahlad Maharaj's example was given that he was chastised by his father so much, but he took it as Krishna's mercy. So even in our material world, in our current situation, all this COVID and stuff like that, there is so much of chaos and so many problems are happening. Now we can now there is some thought which says that okay, this is all mass karma, and this is sort of because misusing the free will, and so it's not that easy to connect that oh, even there is Krishna's hand, because not just those who have misused their free will are suffering, but even devotees, pure devotees have suffered from this. So how do we connect that even okay, let's in this massive pandemic there is Krishna's hand. So in Krishna Prabhu, do you have any
So you stole my thunder. I was just trying to take it where Sumitra Mata is left. Yes, Tatyana Kampam, there's a thin line there, Prabhu. If you don't understand, the coin has two sides. Tatyana Kampam, it's between me and Krishna, not from others and Krishna. So when something happens to somebody, we should not think Tatyana Kampam, this is otherwise we become fanatics, we'll become hard-hearted. This is for me. If it happens to me, this is between me and Krishna, I accept. If it happens to somebody else in front of me, we should fight like an Arjuna. That's what Krishna is trying to tell. If it happens in pandemic or what happened, this happened, your neighbor did something, your colleague did something, your family members did something. To you, that's different. That's where we think like Krishna might say, what is in it for me? How can I learn from here? How do I get better? It's just a stepping stone for me. Krishna is trying to show something. But if it happens to somebody else, especially from the management, first benefit of doubt. Like, Sama, Dan, Ved, Dando, Fire. Same Krishna in other scriptures also mentioned. First, you have to socialize. You confidentially talk to them and talk to them to other people who they are in connection, and then eventually, finally show the stick. Punishment. Like, corporate punishment. What does that mean? Kings passed this corporate punishment because why? They did out of compassion. So that the suffering will minimize now itself. They don't have to take birth again and suffer. And at the same time, setting an example, Yadyati Achariti says that Tattat Evatarya Sayan Sayat Pramanam Kulcha Lokas Tat Anuvatat. Krishna says, set an example. He himself also follows. So the great people, when does that, common people can follow. So when eventually Pandavas doesn't want to fight. If you read Mahabharata, at the end of the Krishna says, no, you've done everything, now you have to fight. If not for you, for dharma perspective. Yeah, Tatyana Kampam, just between me and Krishna, if it happens to me, but if it happens to others, we should do our best, first through thoughts, next through words, finally through the deeds. Things make you better. That's one thing I want to add. If we address your question.
Yeah, it kind of did actually. So thank you, Prabhu. But again, still, after if something is happening with others, it may be the adverse conditions or something good going on. So now, how it's not, we should not ever like think that oh, this is Krishna's mercy or this is Krishna's favor.
Let's talk about even the pandemic. You mentioned about it. Is it Krishna is doing it? Yes or no?
Ultimately,
yes means as a supreme controller, as Prabhupada said, it's not a blade of grass can move without his permission.
correct.
So he is, but is he doing it? No. This is somebody's meddling with the nature. Nature is giving it back. Somebody's misusing it. So, but he is facilitating. Because you know why? By nature, soul is encapsulated in the material nature. When we left our spiritual Sthita Deha, which is our Sthita Deha, and we came to material body, we are encapsulated with this material. Why? Thoughts, deeds, propensities, and desires, and the karma and sukriti, good and bad. All these things encapsulated us. We become puppets under the three modes of material nature. In the hands of Krishna, eyes of Krishna, and the time of time, it just moves as a vehicle. Button is already pushed. We're just moving. We have no idea. No, there is no brakes. But we think tasya kartaram apimam vidya kartam apim. We think we are doing. Krishna says, I am doing it. Maya dikshena prakriti suite sracham. That's true. It is happening under his purview. I mean, everything happens under his direction. But is he willing to do it? Is he willingly doing it? No. Hesitantly doing it. There's two things, willing and hesitant. He is the master. Everything happens. That's why we only desire. I cannot even wink my eye. I cannot even move my hand. But I think I'm doing it. No. Even this coronavirus, what it's doing is it's doing. But Krishna facilitating. Krishna facilitating. There is a very thin line there. People has to understand that. Like, that's one of the, I just say one thing. Jiva Goswami talk about this in Bhakti Sandarbhas. Prabhupada mentioned in this purport. What is that? He said, Achintya. Achintya is called omnipotency. He is a reason for everything, but not all reasons coming from him. Chaitanya Prabhu said the same thing too. Because he facilitates, because we cannot do it. I want to kill somebody. I want to help somebody. Both I can't do, but he does through me. In that sense, he is the doer. But in the other sense, why is he doing it? Because I want to do it, but I can't do it. He is helping me. But the consequences, as Upanishad says, the two birds in the same branch, the other bird is just watching, witnessing. Tasya kartaram apyam vidya kartam. He says, I have nothing to do with this. Because you are helpless in this condition because you chose to. So I am trying to facilitate. Whatever comes out of that, you experience that, either pain or pleasure. Hopefully, you learn something out of that. That is the reason this pandemic, whatever this tsunamis, it is not Krishna's doing it, but Krishna is doing it, but unwillingly hesitating it. Yeah, Prabhupada clearly said, not a blade of grass will move without Krishna's permission. At the same time, is he doing it? Yes or no?
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu, for clarifying.
Hare Krishna. Does anybody else have any thoughts? I see Darpan.
I have my own thought.
Okay. Let's go.
For two. So one is a fascinating. Actually, even I've written that comment in my book. Even Prabhupada came to end of the purport. He's talked about Prahlad Maharaj before even I wrote it down. Because what we can learn. We talk about that in the last Sunday I was giving the class. We talk about the same thing here. One is a fascinating. What is a fascinating? If you touch the fire, what happens? No matter who you are. Nature of the fire is to burn. It has two. One is the light and there's a heat. That is a nature. If you go to heaven, hell, or under ocean, doesn't matter. It's the same. But how is that possible? When Prahlad Maharaj was thrown into the pit of fire, nothing happened to him. And you all know the story. His aunt, which is Hiranyakashipu's sister, had a boon that fire will not touch, will not do anything. So she was holding Prahlad Maharaj in her lap, and she sat in the fire. She got a Brahma's boon that nothing happened to her with fire. She burned down, and Prahlad walked away. Why? If we understand that, we understand Krishna's nature. That's what Prabhupada says. One has to be a pure devotee, use the word, advanced devotee. But we don't have to do that because why? The one who takes shelter of Krishna, we can also take shelter of the person who takes shelter of his devotee. We can understand the same thing. Because why? It's very simple, Prabhu. He took the shelter. This Achinta nature works very, very subtle. Very, very subtle. The subtle nature, if we can tap that, so that's where a lot of people, showing humble and being humble, showing knowledgeable and having really understand the knowledge is a very thin line. The Prabhupada says, the difference between the laziness and mode of goodness is only thin line difference. Activities are same. one has to experience. That's called experiential. That is the mercy of Krishna. But why that mercy is there for everybody, but why only somebody can access that? That's $1 million question. Because Krishna is everywhere. He is giving unlimited opportunities, chances to connect. You can connect not only through holy name and the deities in the temple, but you can connect anywhere. Prabhupada also mentioned, even Sumitra Mata mentioned, even through Prakriti also you can connect. I mentioned that last week also. That's what Prabhupada, Prahlad Maharaj, through water, through fire, through air, you name it, anything he saw as a Krishna's energy. And that is the reason they could not touch him. He was put in a fire thrown from the top, and in the ocean, the poison, you name it, anything, because that could not touch him. Because not a superficial, like, if I'm feeling fire and I'm putting the finger, I'm going to burn my hand. But he is so confident. He's so, what do you call that? He has strong conviction. That is the tongue of my father. When he sees the fire, he sees the tongue of Vishnu offer as a Yajna Purusha. He takes things through the fire. Air, you name it, anything, he connected to Krishna. That is the advanced stage. One can talk, but one has to experience that. Then who is that person? Is called Muni. When everybody is sleeping, that person is Jagrat, like when he's awake. When he's sleeping and everybody is awake. That is the thing. If you can strike that balance, Prabhu, that is Krishna conscious, what Prabhupada is giving to us. Hope one day, by keeping chanting, reading, hearing, but can access that one access, like pressing the button again. For that, we are chanting all the time, or reading, hearing, whatever we do to get that particular moment, that flips. When that happens, could be same day, same month, same year. But if you can keep trying with the laulyam, with the strong desire, impetus, but that impetus depends on three: serious, sincere, without ulterior motives. Then it will be faster. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for that reflection, Prabhu. A lot of good, really nice take-home points. Does anybody have any other thoughts? Shrestha, Janish Prabhu, Rupa Mataji, Ridhima Karthik Darpan, Kajal. If not, I had a thought. I really liked something that Sumitra Majid said really rang in my ear, that the material nature is quite well based, right? It's everything is perfect in its dealing. It's even confirmed in its in the Ishopanishad, Ishavasyam Idam Sarvam Yat Kinchana Jagatyam Jagat, and Om Purna Mada Purnam, and so on. And I was thinking about Sumitra Maji, and if you look at her, she's her job, as many people know, she's a doctor, And if we look at our bodies, how perfect, if when our bodies are functioning properly, the bodies are quite amazing. From the day you take birth, your heart is beating till the day you die, and you are breathing until the day you die. Even when you're not conscious, you're still breathing. And then if the body breaks down, it's a lot. When the heart stops, we call it death, and when the breath stops, we call it death. So how these things, like Alec Prabhu, you're probably not you're not probably like, okay, it's 9:00 at 9:30, I got to remember to breathe, right? we're not thinking of that. It just goes on. We just breathe. And I was thinking that it's and that's just the body, and the body is dull matter. It is, and if my heart stops beating for 5 minutes, no matter how much people love me, nobody wants to touch me, because dead body. Who wants to touch a dead body? So no matter how much they love me, in Indian culture, if you die in the morning, your body is cremated by the end of the day. You know, that's traditional culture. No matter if you had a relationship with them for 40, 45 years, you know, it's just dull matter at the end. So, but the body is dull, but the thing that makes it potent is the spirit soul. When the spirit soul comes in, it enters the body, then it becomes alive. Then we can we take it. That's when the life air, the life comes into it. And I was thinking, you know, even when we're going on the road, we see like a bunch of dead animals, like especially in Ohio. In a lot of other states, it's not very common to see a lot of dead animals on the road. Like Mahavishnu Maharaj, when we were driving, he's like, "Is that a dead squirrel? Is that a dead skunk?" You know, he was like, but for us, you know, it's just okay. It's roadkill, you know. So, but I make it a point. I don't know about anybody else. Is that when I see a dead squirrel or a dead deer, I make it a point not to run it over the tire. Has anybody else had that experience that they don't want to run over the squirrel again, or the deer again, or the raccoon again, or the possum? But I was thinking, why? You know, if it's just dull matter, it should be none different from the road. You know, it's the same thing as the road, because the road is dull matter and that body is dull matter. But I realized that the reason why I don't want to run it over, because the spirit soul was once present in that body. It was once present there, and hence that body is not just dull matter. It's kind of like the spirit soul was in it. You know, it's especially it's a special body. It's not just regular dull matter, because even coal, you know, we have coal that runs our electricity and runs the whole world. You know, coal is just dead bodies if you think about it, right? Coal is like really old animals decomposed and pressed down by nature, and then so that's actually just matter, and they mine it and then we burn it as fuel. So if you think about it, a lot of our electricity is coming from these dead bodies. So I was thinking about, those are two reflections that I had. Some other things that one really good point nobody brought up yet, that the point of that Prabhupada was making about the body, it changes when it is spiritualized. That was so interesting to me, that he says that when I say, Prabhupada puts himself in the position, I am a Chandala. Say that I am a Chandala, and then I take initiation. The body is immediately changed, you know, and you know, we kind of live in an ISKCON bubble, you know. It's quite nice, but if you go to other institutions and you say, you know, that a European or an American can become a Brahmana, they'll flat out reject. They'll flat out reject. How can they be? You know, they have done so many bad things. You know, how can they become a guru? How can they become a spiritual master? How can they become a sannyasi? You know, but they have not crossed the path of the bodily concept of life. You know, so and they don't understand this concept of the body is immediately spiritualized once it is used in the service of Krishna. So those are some thoughts that I had. Even adverse conditions, they're the mercy of Krishna. I think Prahlad Maharaj is a good example. I think more commonly, I think we quote Queen Kunti, that she says, "Please put me into more and more sufferings if if my remembrance of you increases." That's a lot of the good points. And Naeem Prabhu, do you have anything?
Well, putting me on the spot.
Yeah.
Well, this whole idea of suffering is something that I always think about, because the world is filled with suffering. So everyone's always trying to figure out how to deal with it. And we're all trying to get to a place where there is no suffering, but you can either ignore it or you can address it. And so what I see a lot here is improvement, but Krishna is always there. So there's no loss of hope really, but it's something you have to go through, just like Arjun had to go through, still what he had. I mean, he was talking to God directly, but still had to go and fight. So in the lecture, I was seeing that also, that you have that aspect, but still you have the responsibility of going through this world, and you need to make a realization that there's a reason and purpose for all this in the end. So that's what I was getting at.
Very interesting. Thank you, Naim. Thank you, Naim. Anything else? Any other thoughts? It's 9:10 here on the East Coast. Maybe we'll take one or two more. Is that okay? If there are any. Darpan, Janish, Ramesh Prabhu.
So
Yes.
just one minor realization, Prabhuji. I've been hearing about all the devotees what they're saying, and especially for Srila Prabhupada's lecture, if you're not hearing inattentively, those 25 minutes will just go away, right? Like that, and you're like, what just happened, and time would pass, but you wouldn't have got anything. So unless you are hearing it attentively, you don't get the essence of it, what the message is behind that purport or the talk.
Attentive hearing, Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha. And regular hearing also.
True.
That by hearing regularly, I think I share Mother Sumitra's point that that the gravity of Srila Prabhupada comes in with his voice as well. We're so fortunate. We're really fortunate that somebody had the realization, hey, maybe we should record this, because in the early days, what they used to do with Prabhupada lectures is that they used to take a tape and then they would record it, and then Prabhupada record, and then they would just like type everything with his books, and they would just reuse the tape. They'd rewind the tape, and that tape was deleted. There's a lot of discussion, this book, that book, but this edition and that edition, the people say that. But one book that you'll never hear that with is the Krishna book. The reason is that Jadurani Mataji, the great artist, she would go and buy personal tapes, and she would tape Prabhupada's recording each one of those chapters on her own thing. And she would like to hear that once she's painting these beautiful pictures of Krishna, and if you go on ISKCON Desire Tree still now, every one of the Krishna book chapters you can hear Prabhupada reciting them. So it's a really nice resource to hear Srila Prabhupada every single day, by his books, his voice. There's so many mediums we can access him, and now it's easier than ever. I was cleaning Prem Sindhu Prabhu's garage, and we found some old relics of Prem Sindhu Prabhu. I don't know how he still has these. He still has the cassette tapes of Srila Prabhupada, and then I asked him, do you want to throw them away? He's like, no, I want to hear them. And then he's like, I just need to find a cassette player. Everything's digitized and internet, but it's very interesting. Anybody else? Last thoughts? Would you guys?
Hey, Hari?
Yes, Ramesh.
Ramesh, yes. Sorry, I missed part of it. I had another call, so I couldn't contribute much. But I just wanted to, I'm not sure, this is again at a very higher level. I wanted to share one reflection.
Sure.
So, you're able to hear me, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. So, hold on one.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So, Hari, yeah, this was an interesting one. Like I was listening to one of the discourses, it's very, very interesting. Like this chapter, particularly, the son of Drona punished. So if you see from the Srimad Bhagavatam perspective, from say Canto 1 and like all the other chapters, this is the first chapter where actually there is an action kind of thing. You see, this is the first chapter where you see activity and, something happening, right? So I think till other times, yes, it's like the foundation was being built, but this is the first chapter where there is some action and that thing. And it is very interesting how this whole thing has been, this, I think that it'll come in the further next verses, how that conflict is there between how to punish Ashwatthama, right? And that's where it's very challenging. You see, it's not in black and white. So everybody thinks has his own opinion. This is the way he has to be punished. But the Mother Draupadi has got a different opinion of this. How it conflicts and finally what is the resolution, that itself is a huge lesson to be like it's a big takeaway, it seems. That's what we like to see this world as black and white. This is this is, but actually it is shades of gray. This is exactly how this portrays that thing. So that's what one Prabhu was saying. It's like how it's just like a movie. You have that how it opens up. You have that different music, and how you can how that music open up like that. Srimad Bhagavatam opens with a huge this thing. That makes you now read further on and that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to add that perspective, Hari. That's it. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. If any, I want to be respectful of everyone's time, and we will take a pause today. I really like this. That a lot of devotees were telling me that when we were starting the first canto, especially some of Ram Roy Prabhu, he was telling me about the first canto, that Prabhupada put everything in here, because this is the canto he brought with him to America. So he didn't know how long he was going to survive. 70 years old, had some pre-existing health conditions. So he put a lot of the essentials of spiritual life into the first canto. So evidently, when he would go to different communities, he would speak on the first canto. Most of his lectures are either from the first canto or the seventh canto. So I think maybe once a month we can hear Srila Prabhupada's lecture, at least for this section. He has spoken, I think, on most of the verses in the 7th chapter. I think that's a really good idea. And I like that everybody was attentive and they could focus. If anybody has any points or thoughts on how this can be improved, I know we're all testing this, just shoot me a message on the Srimad Bhagavatam course group, or you most of you know my number. So if anything else, we'll pause today. We will just end with Vaishnava Pranam Mantra. Vancha kalpadrubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Can everybody unmute and say big three Hari Bol?
Hari Bol,
Hari
Jai.
Bol.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.